Hello, and welcome. However your day has been, whatever noise it held, you are here now. And here, it is quiet. So find a comfortable position, let the weight of the day settle, and allow your thoughts to soften. Tonight, we are going to step away from our time. We are going to leave behind the rush, the endless stream of information, the bright lights. Tonight, we will spend a gentle day in a place designed for silence. We will follow the soothing rhythms of a medieval monk's day. Not a famous abbot, not a scholar writing great texts, but simply a monk. A man whose world was defined by the stones of his cloister, the pages of a book, the sound of a bell, and the turning of the seasons. It is a life of repetition, of quiet purpose. A life that moved at the speed of a walking pace, and the rhythm of a human breath. So, close your eyes if you wish. And imagine, as the first very faint light begins to soften the deepest black of the night sky, a bell rings. The sound that breaks the sleep is a soft, deep tremor in the night. It is the great bell in the tower, but its ring is muffled by the mist that often settles in the valley before dawn. It does not clang. It tolls. A slow, resonant note that seems to bloom in the silence and then fade, leaving the quiet even deeper than before. In the long dormitory, the brothers awaken to this familiar call. They have not slept in beds as we know them, but on simple pallets laid upon wooden frames. A mattress stuffed with straw, a pillow of coarse linen. They sleep in their tunics and cowls, the rough wool habit that is their only clothing. There is no searching for robes in the dark. They simply sit up, swing their feet onto the cold stone floor, and slip into their sandals. The leather is stiff, the night air chilling their ankles. No one speaks. The rule forbids it. Communication is a touch on an arm, a gesture. The only light comes from the lanternarius, the monk in charge of the lamp. He moves down the center aisle, his face a pool of shadow under his cowl, the candle flame making his one hand glow red as he shields it. The brothers fall in line behind him, a silent procession of shadows. Their footsteps are a soft shuffle on the worn stone stairs, down into the heart of the monastery. The church is a cavern of waiting dark. It is always colder than anywhere else, the stones holding the chill of centuries. The smell is unique, cold stone, old incense, the faint, sweet dust of dried flowers left by an altar weeks ago, and the dampness of a building that never truly warms up. They find their places in the choir stalls, facing the center aisle. The wood is smooth and dark from generations of hands resting on it, from the oils of skin and the pressure of elbows during long prayers. A single monk, the precentor, clears his throat softly. And then he begins. Domini, labia mea aperis. O Lord, open my lips. His voice is a low, steady thread in the vast dark. The response comes from the other side, a whisper that grows into full voice. Eti os meum annuntiabit laudem tuum. And my mouth shall declare your praise. And so the office begins. The psalms follow one after another, in a monotone chant that rises and falls like a slow, steady breath. They stand for some, sit for others, their bodies moving in a slow, ancient choreography. For a new novice, this is the hardest time. The cold seeps into the bones. The legs grow heavy and ache. The mind, still clouded with sleep, fights against the Latin words, wanting to wander, to dream, to go back to the warmth of the straw mattress. But for the older monk, this is the deepest prayer. The cold, the ache, the tiredness, these are not distractions, but the very substance of the offering. His mind does not fight the words, it rests on them. He knows these psalms by heart. He has sung them thousands of times. The words are no longer read, but remembered by the body, by the tongue. They become a mantra, a rhythmic sound that empties the self. He is not thinking about their meaning in each moment. He is being the prayer. His breath is the chant. His slight shiver is part of the praise. He might stare into the darkness ahead, where a single lamp flickers before the altar. His eyes lose focus. The sound of his brothers' voices becomes like the sound of a river, constant, flowing, carrying him along. Time loses its meaning. There is only this psalm, and then the next. A faint cramp in the calf, the sound of a brother's shifting weight, the distant scent of the guttering lamp oil. It is a vigil. A keeping watch. While the world sleeps in ignorance, they are here, holding a space of quiet intention. It is, in its way, a great kindness to the sleeping world. An anchor of peace in the turbulent sea of the night. When the final antiphon of Vigils is sung and the last Amen hangs in the cold air, there is a collective, almost imperceptible release of breath. The longest and most demanding office is over. The bell sounds again, a softer, quicker note. The monks rise, their joints stiff, and file back out, following the bobbing light of the lantern. The return to the dormitory is not a retreat, but a transition. The body, which has been still and cold, now moves with purpose back toward warmth. The dormitory, which felt abandoned an hour ago, now feels like a sanctuary. The straw of their pallets still holds the shape of their bodies, a little warmth retained in the nest. They do not talk of the cold or the fatigue. They simply remove their sandals, lie down, and pull the single rough blanket over themselves. This sleep is different. The mind, having been emptied by the long prayer, does not race with the worries of a coming day. There is nothing to plan for, nothing to decide. The next bell is hours away. This sleep is a gift. It is deep, dreamless, and profoundly restoring. Modern science calls this biphasic sleep. For the medieval monk, it was simply the rhythm of life. This second sleep, after the mental and spiritual exertion of the night watch, was often considered the most precious. It was sweeter, deeper, more tranquil than the first sleep of the evening. The monastery is utterly silent now. The great silence is in full force. If an owl calls from the forest, it seems part of the silence, not a break in it. The wind whispers in the roof tiles. A brother sighs softly in his rest. Here, in this segmented sleep, there is a lesson about the nature of rest itself. Rest is not merely the absence of work, but a positive state. It is a space between acts of intention. For the monk, this space was sacred. It was when the soul, worked on by prayer, could settle and integrate in the darkness. The bell for lauds rings not in pitch blackness, but in the first gray hint of dawn. This time, the rising is gentler. The body is warmer, more rested. The eyes can make out the shape of the window, a pale rectangle in the wall. The brothers rise with a quiet efficiency, a routine worn smooth by thousands of repetitions. Walking to the church now is a different experience. The world is emerging from formlessness. You can see the stone of the corridor, the texture of the wooden door. The air is still cold, but it is the clean, fresh cold of morning, not the deep chill of the dead night. Inside the church, the darkness is retreating. The high, narrow windows in the eastern apse are beginning to glow with a weak, pearly light. It is not yet sunlight, but the promise of it. The monks take their places. The office of lauds is the praise of the coming light. The psalms change in character. They speak of mercy that is new every morning. They sing of God as a sun and shield. The chant, while still solemn, lifts at the ends of phrases. There is a gentle, hopeful energy. As they sing, the miracle happens. The first true spear of golden sunlight lances through a window, striking the stone floor of the sanctuary, illuminating the swirling motes of dust in the air. It is a theatrical, beautiful moment, and it happens every single day. For the monks, it is never routine. It is the daily reaffirmation of creation, of order over chaos, of light over darkness. Their voices rise slightly, meeting the light. The night's watch is officially over. They have welcomed the day. Their faces, pale in the growing light, are calm, focused. The night has done its work. They are ready for the day's rhythm to begin. The hour after lauds is a time of quiet transition. There is no rush. Some monks might kneel in private prayer at a side altar. Others might simply sit in their stall, eyes closed, preparing inwardly. The monastery is bathed in the soft, blue-gold light of very early morning. The world outside the walls is still mostly asleep. Then, the bell for prime. This is a short, purposeful office. It sanctifies the start of the practical day. It is the blessing of the tools, both physical and mental, that will be used. The Psalms are often about setting a guard over one's actions and thoughts. From the church, the community moves not to food, but to instruction. They gather in the chapter house, a room often adjacent to the church cloister. They sit on stone benches that run along the walls. The abbot sits in a chair at the front. The atmosphere is that of a family meeting, but a silent, disciplined one. First, a martyrology is read, a list of the saints commemorated that day. A connection is made to the vast, invisible community of the faithful across time. Then, the heart of the meeting, the reading of a chapter from the Rule of Saint Benedict. This is their constitution. It covers everything from humility and obedience to how to care for the kitchen knives or what to do if a monk breaks a borrowed item. Hearing it daily is a reinforcement of their common life. It is the gentle, constant filing down of the individual will to fit the common good. After the reading, there may be business. The abbot might announce tasks. Brother John will help in the infirmary today. Brother Matthew, the gardener, has asked for help with the south wall. There might be a fault confessed. A monk who broke the silence, who was late for an office. He will lie prostrate on the floor until the abbot tells him to rise, a sign of penance. It is not done with anger, but with calm correction. The order must be maintained for the peace of all. Then, they disperse. The sun is fully up now, clear and bright. For the next few hours, until the bell for terce, they engage in Lectio Divina, sacred reading, or work in the scriptorium. The scriptorium is a room of profound, focused quiet. The light from the large windows falls onto long desks. Here, the slow magic of preservation happens. A monk sits, his writing desk angled, a blank parchment before him. He has already prepared his quill, cut from a goose feather. His inks are ground from minerals, red from vermilion, blue from lapis lazuli, black from oak gall. He begins to copy. Not quickly. Every stroke is deliberate. The text is first drawn in with a fine point, then the thicker strokes are added. He might spend an hour on a single ornate capital letter, filling it with intricate vines and tiny, fantastical beasts. His world shrinks to the point of his pen, the texture of the parchment, the flow of the ink. There is no goal of finishing a page. The goal is to do the work well, here and now. The scratch of the quill is a quiet, rhythmic sound. A sneeze would be a major disturbance. This work is a prayer of the hands. It is the opposite of hurry. It is the embodiment of patience. His back may stiffen, his eyes may water from the strain, but the discipline of the task is a form of liberation. There is nothing else to think about. Only this letter. This word. This slow, beautiful making. The bell for terce, the third hour of the daylight, rings mid-morning. It is a welcome interruption. The body needs to move, to stand, to walk. The monks close their books, clean their pens, and make their way back to the church. This office is short, a spiritual refreshment, a realignment. It breaks the long morning into manageable parts. After terce, the nature of the work often changes for many. This is the time for manual labor. Ora et labora, pray and work. The brothers go to their assigned tasks. Some go to the kitchen garden, their hands in the dark, rich earth, weeding rows of leeks, cabbages, and onions. The work is slow, methodical. It is a conversation with the soil, with the plants. There is satisfaction in seeing a straight row, in clearing a patch of weeds. The sun is warm on their backs now. The silence is broken by natural sounds, the call of a blackbird from the orchard wall, the buzz of a bee, the distant sound of an axe splitting wood. Others might be in the bakehouse, a warm, humid, flour-dusted place. The making of bread is a sacred task. It is the staff of life. The dough is kneaded for a long time, a rhythmic, physical prayer. The fire in the oven must be just the right temperature. There is a deep, primal satisfaction in pulling out loaves that are perfectly browned, their crust crackling as they cool. The bell for sext rings at the zenith of the sun. They stop, wipe their hands on their habits, and walk to the church. The morning's labor has built up a bodily warmth, a gentle fatigue. The cool of the church is a relief. The office of sext is the pivot of the day. The Psalms acknowledge the sun at its height, the world in its full, bustling life. But for the monk, it is a reminder that all work, all effort, is oriented toward God. It is an offering. They stand in their stalls, perhaps with dirt still under their fingernails, the smell of earth or bread on their robes, and they offer up the morning's toil. After sext comes the first meal of the day. The monks do not hurry to the refectory. They process. They wash their hands in a stone lavabo, the cold water a small shock. They enter the long, hall-like room and stand behind their places at the trestle tables. They wait in silence until the abbot gives a signal. Then they sit, all at once, the sound a soft, collective rustle. A brother reads from a pulpit on the wall. The rule dictates that during meals, there should be no lack of reading. So while they eat, a clear voice fills the room. It might be from scripture, from a church father, from a history of the saints. The purpose is to feed the soul as the body is fed. Conversation is forbidden. There is only the sound of the reader's voice, the quiet clatter of a wooden bowl against the table, the soft tearing of bread. The food is simple, nourishing, and modest. A thick vegetable stew or pottage, flavored with herbs from the garden. Coarse, dark bread, baked that morning. A piece of cheese, perhaps an apple from the orchard in season. A cup of small beer or watered wine. The rule forbids the eating of the flesh of four-legged animals, except for the sick. This is not a time for pleasure or indulgence. It is functional. They eat slowly, deliberately, listening to the words. The focus is not on taste, but on gratitude and reflection. When the reader finishes a section, he says, Tu autem, Domini, miserere nobis. But you, O Lord, have mercy on us. The community responds, Deo gratias. Thanks be to God. This punctuates the meal with prayer. When the abbot has finished, he signals again. The meal is over. They file out as silently as they entered, perhaps to a period of rest, the meridian. This is a time to sit in the cloister garden, perhaps to doze lightly in the sun, to let the meal digest, to simply be. There is no guilt in this rest. It is part of the rhythm, as necessary as the prayer and the work. The afternoon office, none, is sung. The sun has passed its peak, the shadows are lengthening. There is a subtle shift in the energy. The day is on the downward slope. After none, there is more work, but it is often lighter, tidying up, completing tasks. Then, as the sun dips toward the horizon, painting the clouds in shades of apricot and rose, the bell for vespers rings. This is perhaps the most beloved office. The word vesper means evening star. It is an office of thanksgiving, of completion. The church is growing dark again. The lamplighter moves from lamp to lamp, his long taper igniting the wicks. The world outside is bathed in the golden, sentimental light of late afternoon, but inside, a warm, intimate darkness begins to gather in the corners. The chant for vespers is often more melodic, more reflective. The Psalms speak of trust, of God as a shepherd, of dwelling in safety. The famous Magnificat is sung, My soul magnifies the Lord. Imagine the feeling. The work of the day is done. It has been offered. The body is healthily tired. The mind is settled. As they sing, they can see through the west-facing window the last brilliant sliver of the sun disappear. The blue of the sky deepens to indigo. The first star, the Vesper star itself, might become visible. There is a profound sense of peace, of a cycle completed. They have shepherded the day from darkness to light and back to the edge of darkness again, and all has been held within their prayer. The singing ends in a gentle, fading cadence. A deep peace settles over the church, a collective exhalation. After Vespers, there may be a collation, a very light supper, especially in winter when the days are short. It is even more sparse than the main meal, some bread, some cheese, and a drink. Again, it is taken in silence while reading. After this comes a unique and precious time, the period of recreation. For about an hour, the strict rule of silence is relaxed. The monks may walk together in the cloister garden, now silvery in the twilight. They may talk quietly. This is not frivolous talk, but it can be conversational. They might discuss a point from the morning's reading, ask after a brother's health, or speak of practical matters concerning their work. The atmosphere is gentle, fraternal. You might see an older monk explaining the pruning of a fruit tree to a younger one, their heads close together. You might see a smile, even hear a soft, low laugh. This hour is vital. It reminds them they are a community of human beings, not just souls. It oils the wheels of their common life. But as the last of the twilight fades into true night, the mood shifts once more. The abbot gives a signal. And the great silence begins. This is not merely the absence of speech. It is a positive, palpable thing. It descends over the monastery like a soft blanket. From this moment until after prime the next morning, no word is to be spoken unless in direst need. All communication stops. The monastery becomes a world of gesture and glance. The soundscape changes utterly. You hear the scrape of a sandal on a flagstone, the closing of a wooden door, the sigh of the wind, the hoot of an owl with startling clarity. This silence is a teacher. It forces inward attention. In the absence of external noise, the internal landscape becomes clearer. It is a final, daily purification of the senses, a stripping away of the last distractions before the soul offers itself to sleep and to God. The final office of the day is Compline. It is short, simple, and deeply comforting. It is the prayer before sleep. The monks gather once more in the dark church, now familiar and safe. The psalms are few and full of trust. In peace I will lie down and sleep, for you alone, Lord, make me dwell in safety. A hymn is sung. Often the same one every night, its melody as comforting as a childhood lullaby. Then, one of the most beautiful prayers in Western tradition is recited. Visita, qui sumus, Domini, habitationem istum. Visit, we beg you, O Lord, this dwelling, and drive far from it all the snares of the enemy. Let your holy angels dwell here to keep us in peace, and let your blessing be upon us always. There is a profound sense of being tucked in, of being protected. The abbot then sprinkles the monks with holy water, a blessing for the night, a symbolic washing away of the day's minor failings. They process one last time, not to the dormitory entrance, but often directly into it. They stand at the foot of their beds. A short, final prayer is said, asking for a peaceful night and a perfect end. Then, they lie down. The lanternarius extinguishes the main lamp. Now, the only light is from a single, small sanctuary lamp in the church, its glow visible through the open door. In the darkness, the monk pulls his blanket up. The straw of his pallet rustles softly. He hears the sighs and shifting of his brothers settling into sleep. The great silence is complete. He reviews the day in his mind, not with anxiety, but with a quiet examen. He lets it go. He entrusts himself to the darkness, to the silence, to God. Sleep comes not as an escape, but as the final, trusting act of the day. And so, our long, quiet day with the medieval monk reaches its end. We have followed the bell from the deep dark to the soft dawn, through the bright work of the day, into the golden evening, and back again into the protective night. This life was not an escape from reality, but a confrontation with a different set of realities, the reality of the spirit, the discipline of the body, the depth of time, and the beauty of limitation. Within the strict, unyielding frame of the rule, a profound freedom was found. Freedom from choice. Freedom from the tyranny of personal desire. Freedom from the noise of the world's opinions. For us, listening now in our fragmented, accelerated century, their rhythm can feel like a distant dream. We cannot, and perhaps should not, adopt their life. But we can listen for echoes of its wisdom. We can honor the value of a pause. We can create small silences, turning off the noise, even for a few minutes. We can find one simple, repetitive task and do it with our full attention, letting it become a meditation. We can segment our own rest, not feeling guilty for a moment of quiet in the middle of the day. We can learn that a life with fewer choices, voluntarily accepted, can be a life of deeper peace. The monk's day teaches us that peace is not the absence of effort, but the presence of a harmonious rhythm. That rest is as sacred as work. That silence is not empty, but full. That in the constant, gentle return to a central purpose, be it prayer, or love, or creation, we find our anchor. Tonight, you have kept the hours with them. You have stood in their cold choir, felt the sun on your back in their garden, tasted their simple bread, and settled into their great, holy silence. Let that silence now be yours. The vigil is over. The work is done. The praise has been sung. It is time to entrust yourself to the night, as they did. Let your breath become your chant. Let the darkness be a gentle cloak. Let your heartbeat be the only bell you need to follow. Thank you for spending this day in the cloister. May your rest be deep and your waking gentle. Good night.